So I've had this plan for a while to revisit some movies that I watched in theaters and go into a bit more detail on them than I did in my first review. And Halloween Kills was the perfect movie to start with because I've always felt that I was way too lenient on this movie. And also because the more and more I thought about it, the worse it got. So this is my Halloween Kills revisited review. Let's discuss.
Purely and simply evil.
Before I get started, I'd like to kindly ask that you hit the like button and please subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.
Come on. Do it. Do it!
Just to add a little bit more perspective to this review, I think you should know that at the time of watching this, I enjoyed the previous movie, Halloween 2018, for what it was. So when Kills was coming out, I was naturally excited. But here's the thing, and this is something that I've talked about a lot since then, but I didn't really address it in that first review. The new Halloween timeline was essentially the birth of the legacy sequel trend. The idea being to ignore what some people view as inferior sequels, and to make a direct sequel to the classic original film. All in an effort, I thought, to return the franchise to its roots and to its former glory. But my biggest problem with these new Halloween movies is this. I'm not sure that they're consistent with the original Halloween either tonally or from a character perspective. Especially with Halloween Kills, so my question is, what was the goal of this movie? Now you could just take it for what it is and accept it as just a fun slasher movie. But to me, when you attach that Halloween name to it and market it a certain way, that comes with some baggage. And I think that's my biggest problem with Halloween Kills. It's in no way consistent with the John Carpenter original. I'm not even convinced that it's consistent with Halloween 2018. And I'll discuss how throughout this review.
See anything you like?
So the movie begins with a flashback to the night of the first movie. Something I enjoyed the first time around but found a little bit off-putting this time. To me, the whole vibe of these flashbacks just felt off. And it felt like they were trying way too hard to inspire these nostalgic reactions. This is especially obvious with the whole CGI Loomis thing, which is a trend in Hollywood that I've never really been on board with. The other part to this is that I don't think these flashbacks really enhance the story at all. It's supposed to give us insight into the Frank character and how he made this mistake as a young cop that's haunted him his entire life. But then modern day Frank plays a minimal role in this story. So I guess my question is, I don't know what the point is. Plus there's this little attempt at an expansion of the lore where they try to explain why Michael stands in that one spot near the window. I'll talk about that more later, but to keep it brief right now, I'm just gonna say they're trying way too hard and leave it at that.
Not impressed.
The other part to this is that at the end of the flashback, Michael just stands there and allows the cops to basically beat him and arrest him. Which again is inconsistent with what we see a much older version of Michael do later in this very movie. And then we move to present day where we see the survivors of the 1978 massacre celebrating at a bar. And it's bad enough that we have these quick flashbacks to explain who each character is, which feels very lazy narratively, but I swear to you, every single line of dialogue that comes out of these characters' mouths sounds so over the top and cheesy that I question that whoever wrote this has actually ever watched a movie before. Not to mention every single one of them, including some bigger characters later on in the movie, are completely unlikable in every way. It's almost as if the writers were actually trying to make me hate these people. Like they wanted me to root for Michael killing them all.
If he dies, he dies.
Next we move to a very visual pleasing scene of Michael emerging from the burning house to kill an entire squad of firefighters. And again, sure, it might look cool, but is it consistent? Are we buying into the idea of a 60-plus-year-old Michael Myers being capable of doing this? Especially when we saw nothing in the original movie, nothing in Halloween 2018, or in the flashbacks to this movie that would suggest that he could. Plus, it raises this question as to whether or not Michael is supernatural or not, which is again something that I thought these filmmakers wanted to get away from. But there are other things in this movie that support the idea of him being supernatural. So I'm kind of getting mixed messages here.
I'm too old for this shit.
Also, I have to say that this movie does feature an excessive amount of brutality and gore. And I'm here to tell you right now, as much as I enjoy that type of stuff from time to time, it was a bit too excessive. And again, this doesn't really fit into what we know about Michael and how he was originally portrayed. You know, back when he was just stabbing people and sticking them to a wall, or strangling them with a phone cord. I mean, is it a case that the older Michael gets, the more violent he becomes? If so, they didn't explain that all that well. I just never thought I'd see Michael Myers kill someone, and then continue to stick knives in their dead body afterward like he did with the old man in this movie. Yes, he is a killing machine, but he typically kills someone who's in his way and then he moves on. But clearly Halloween Kills was more concerned with shocking you rather than being consistent. In fact, the violence in this movie fits more with the Rob Zombie Halloween movies than it does with the original John Carpenter classic.
I'm all broken up here, bitch. I can't work.
And then we have the Strode Girls, which I have to go back to my idea that everyone in this movie is pretty much unlikable. To me, Karen, Laurie's daughter, is the only one of the three that acts in a way that a normal human being might act. She's the most rational, she's the most logical by far. Then we have her daughter Allison, who is essentially supposed to be the new Laurie. But apparently her whole character arc happened in one movie, because she's already turned into this person who thinks she is capable of taking down Michael Myers. Again, if we're being consistent, it took Laurie almost 40 years to get to that point. And Allison has done absolutely nothing to prove that she is capable of doing so. She's not believable. In fact, I kind of judge Tommy in this film, the leader of the mob who just pretty much allows anyone to come along with him. Maybe quality over quantity is a better strategy when you're dispatching vigilante justice. Of course, allowing just any idiot off the streets of Haddonfield to join your mob is why we get the cringe-worthy Evil Dies Tonight bullshit.
I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
Which brings me to the hospital scene and probably the most unintelligent part of this entire movie. Tommy shows up to protect Laurie in the same manner that she protected him as a kid. But it all goes to shit when the random mental patient shows up. And for some reason, both Tommy and Laurie are most directly responsible for his fate, when they both inexplicably yell out Michael towards him before they even know who the fuck he is. And yes, this leads to an innocent man's death. And you want me to be on these people's side? In fact, the only person in this entire scene who's acting with any kind of rational thought is Karen, who actually tries to save the man. Karen even suggests letting the people who are trained to handle this type of thing handle this situation. Which is honestly probably the smartest thing I've heard in this entire movie.
That makes sense.
Now, I understand that the message of this movie has to do with how mob mentality was created by hysteria over the actions of Michael Myers. And these people are essentially supposed to be reacting irrationally. But when you shoehorn this heavy-handed message into the movie about who the real monsters are, and you present it in this way, all it really does is make me roll my eyes and root more for Michael Myers. A Halloween movie does not need a message like this, especially when it's delivered in such a laughable way. Right after this, they come to the conclusion, according to Frank, that all of this isn't about Michael coming after Laurie. It's later revealed that his simple goal is to just creep, kill, and then go home. So I ask again, if the idea is to eliminate the connection between Michael and Laurie, then why the fuck is Halloween Ends, the next movie in this franchise, being sold on the idea of Michael and Laurie's final confrontation? It sounds like Halloween Ends might be just as inconsistent as Halloween Kills is.
Why do these things always happen to me?
We also get this big reveal that Michael isn't looking out the window, he's looking at a reflection of himself, which is just more half-assed attempts to explain the psyche of Michael Myers. Something that nobody really wants to know. We don't need to know what's going on inside of his head. The whole appeal of him initially is that we didn't know what was going on with him, and we didn't understand why he is doing what he is doing. By eliminating some of his mystery and mystique, you're doing exactly what those sequels did that you are trying to erase. And then we come to the climax of this clusterfuck where Michael returns to his home. He kills this obnoxious gay couple, who again feel like they were plucked out of another movie and dropped into this movie. And then we have Michael destroying both Lonnie and his son in yet another over-the-top fashion. And Allison, who thinks she can go toe-to-toe with Michael fucking Myers for reasons, still pretty much doesn't do jack shit and has to be saved by her mother, Karen.
No shit.
Karen takes Michael Myers' mask and lures him into a trap where the mob beat, stab, and shoot him, only for the most inexplicable thing yet to happen. Michael suddenly turns into John fucking Wick and kills everyone. How is he able to pull this off? Is he in fact supernatural? Does it matter? All I know is that I can't see a much younger version of Michael from 1978 doing anything close to this physically. The movie concludes with Karen making her first illogical decision of this movie as she decides to enter Michael's house and go stand in his spot, for reasons. Not sure why exactly, I guess this movie was just tired of having one person act rationally. And yes, Michael returns and kills Karen as the movie concludes. Now I can hear it already, people will defend this movie and say it's a Halloween movie and I'm looking too much into it. And that may be partially true, but as a longtime Halloween fan, I can honestly say that this movie kind of killed any interest I had in this new timeline.
I shot him 6 times! I shot him in the heart!
I'll be seeing Halloween Ends out of pure reflex at this point, but when I'm told that these new movies are supposed to be returning the franchise to its roots, I was hoping for a return of the creepy atmosphere that made that original movie so iconic. What I didn't want was a poorly written movie with shock value kills that resembles Halloween in name only. All of these reasons are why I'm going to be giving Halloween Kills the Angry Rocky.
That's right, it stinks!
Y'all be cool. Nah.